representatives from member states are now making their way into the hall. Soon we will receive the guest of honor and we'll start the session. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in rising to welcome the guest of honor, His Excellency, the guest of honor as he arrives into the hall, His Excellency Ato Temasgen Teruna, Deputy Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, and also His Excellency Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, ushered in by Her Excellency the Host Minister, Mr. Muferiat Kamil. Thank you all very much for coming and joining us. Please give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and a distinct pleasure to welcome you all to the high-level opening ceremony of the third Africa Jobs Creation Forum and the official commemoration of Africa Integration Day, proudly hosted by the government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and co-convened by the African Union Commission AUC, AUDA NIPAD, as well as the AE Trade Group. To our visiting distinguished guests, delegates, and partners, participants, a very warm welcome to Ethiopia, the cradle of humankind and the land of origins. This is a warm welcome from the people of Ethiopia to all our visiting guests. Thank you again for being with us today. My name is Shamil Sulaiman. It's a great privilege and honor to be your program director for the next 3 days on this historic Continental Forum, a 3-day gathering that celebrates our collective resolve to drive job creation, deepen regional integration, and shape an Africa of inclusive prosperity and resilience. By the way, there is interpretation service in the 4 African Union languages: English, French, Arabic, and Portuguese, so you can toggle to your preferred language on the interpretation devices. This year's forum is held under the compelling theme, Advancing Job Creation and Economic Resilience through Regional Integration, Digital and Financial Inclusion along agricultural value chains in the AFCFTA market. This is more than a theme. It is a continental call to action. It reminds us that the transformation of our agricultural value chains, powered by digital innovation, financial inclusion, and the full realization of the AFCFTA holds immense promise, especially for our youth, our women, and small enterprises. The Third Africa Jobs Creation Forum builds on the strong foundations established during the inaugural forum in 2023 and its successful follow-up in 2024, both of which served as pivotal platforms for advancing job creation through digital and financial inclusion, with an emphasis on implementing the African Continental Free Trade Area and the AU's Agenda 2063 priorities. A strategic partnership was also formalized with the AE Trade Group to promote platforms such as the Sokoku Africa, a digital ecosystem designed to facilitate market access and scale job creation. We'll commence our day with the anthems of the AU and the national anthem of the people of Ethiopia. Please join me in rising for the anthems presented by the marching band of the Ethiopian Defense Forces. give another warm round of applause to the marching band and the Defense Forces of Ethiopia. Thank you. Once again, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Third Africa Job Creation Forum, proudly hosted by the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and co-convened by the African Union Commission, Aujani PAD, and also the AE Group. And now to set the tone and spirit of today's gathering, we invite you to turn your attention to the stage for a presentation of the theme song by the youngsters from the Addis Ababa Children and Youth Theatre. Also followed later by a cultural performance by the Haga Theatre, showcasing musical opening about resilience of our continent. Enjoy the show, ladies and gentlemen. Um, Another performance, a special performance, will be staged by Ethiopia, by Ethiopia Hager Fikr Theatre House, to present you culture performance, an amazing performance showcasing Ethiopia's rich musical tradition. Please welcome to the stage the Hager Fikr Theatre Culture Band, ladies and gentlemen.
Shema kafidagi gaddachi kafidarene. Shema kafidagi gaddachi kafidarene. Womacha kafidagi gaddachi kafidarene. Shema kafidagi gaddachi kafidarene. Womacha kafidagi gaddachi kafidarene. Shema kafidagi gaddachi kafidarene. Shema kafidagi gaddachi kafidarene. Shema Guchane maro annabaho guche. Guchane maro annabaho guche. Wamacha badi wacha aho guche. Wamacha badi wacha aho guche. Guchuko maro annabaho guche. Guchuko maro annabaho guche. Wamacha badi wacha aho guche. Wamacha badi wacha aho guche. guchanne ha ha 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 guchanne ha Ashame Guramalito, Jose Banagata, El Ganga Garuamarendi, Bilkazing Banagati, Ashame Guramalito, Jose Banagata, El Ganga Garuamarendi, Bilkazing Banagati. Kotonta la bale, kotonta la shava, kotonta la haran, kotonta la jimma, kotonta la bale, kotonta la shava, kotonta la haran, kotonta la laka, shoga, 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 Kotonta la bale, kotonta la shava, kotonta la haran, kotonta la jimma, kotonta la bale, kotonta la shava, kotonta la haran, kotonta la laka, shoga, 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 Haye, Garces, more like Garces.
ዘውራንተ አለስልሰው እስቲ አለስልስላት አቦ
እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ አብረን
አለስልስ አቦ
ሰይ
አለስልስ አቦ
አንሽው ቸፕ 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 አሜን አለስልሽ አይናሚክስ ቸፕ ቸፕ ቸፕ
Free trade area AFCFTA, the forum will explore how
Ethiopia in the land of origin for gracious hosting us for this important occasion in the beautiful and renewed city of Addis Ababa. I thank the Minister of Labor and Skill, the African Union Commissions, the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, and our partners for their respective roles, bringing us together in this important occasion of a commemoration of the 5th African Integration Day, as well as almost the third job creation, Africa job creations, to engage deeply in the theme of advancing the, technology. Advancing the job creation in the economic resilience through regional integrations, digital and financial inclusion along agriculture value chains in the African Continental Free Trade Area market. Today is an important day for all of us as a leader in our respective countries, as we've been working in the job creation agenda for many years, but doing it in isolation. What we have not done is embarking collectively in the action-oriented agenda to collectively target a creation of millions of jobs across the continent, with a target and a platform that will be used to drive the agenda. We wish to indicate that all we are bringing is an innovation, an integrated ecosystem centered to Sakuku design, to take our common inspirations under agenda into a practical program of action which we believe can move us forward toward eradicating extreme poverty in the next 15 years. We are mindful the task ahead, but we are emboldened by seeing you all one. We thank our gracious host for choosing a venue that reminds us the sacrifice made by their brave souls that fought to preserve our dignity and won against all odds. It is in this inspiring and humbling request all participants to engage in the same spirit of undertaking that this is not a usual forum conference. It is a battle cry that says our people have suffered enough. Let us turn the page in building African nations to enjoy a shared prosperity. Let us recognize the effort made by all institutions, but the card score tells us that we have done not enough. What we see is a landscape of micro projects, a project that have a low ambition, which will never allow us to eradicate extreme poverty. We are here to positively disrupt the thinking and to ask our leaders to change the policy so that we embark a large-scale project, a project of job creations. We ask the leadership of the new commission under the able leadership of His Excellency, the chairperson, to walk the walk with us. We have committed to the African Union Commissions as an implementer. This is endorsed by the AU Summit decision of 2022, to work with all stakeholders to accelerate digital and financial inclusion. Why it is fast-tracking digital inclusion imperative? We all had the experience of living through a COVID-19. It was not easy, but we are grateful to have learned some lessons, including the importance of ensuring that digital technology is made available to us, many people, as possible. Indeed, it is estimated that the next 5 years, 6 years, over 95% of digital trade, global trade, is going to be digital. So we need to prepare our people to be ready to make this shift from the analog world to the digital world. I take this opportunity to stride quickly. I take this opportunity to thank His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed for his passion to ensure that Ethiopia take a great stride quickly into the modern age. We do not have time, we do not have sleep to eradicate or overcome poverty. This is not just ourselves, but our future generations. The way to convert poverty, the way to convert poverty is the Aid Trade Group's pledge, our unwavering commitment to work with all governments, agencies, private sectors, regulators, and the citizens of this country, and all countries that invite us to make a grassroots digital transformations. We want to work with the established structure of community, regional and federal level, in a novel way of ordering to ensure that the change we bring shall sustainable. Speed of the essence is the game of the change. We want to fast track this journey and ensure that our young people do not lose hope along the way. Some of them are risking their life to cross the Mediterranean. Shared prosperity is the core of our sustainable path toward development outcome that eradicates extreme poverty. Our continent can do this, and we can do it in our lifetime. This is Africa that shall be contributing useful solutions to our neighbors, to the north, west, and east. We see ourselves as part of the community of nations working hard to achieve the development goal we have set ourselves. As I conclude, I wish to request all the leaders gathering here to support this platform. Let us build together. We become a premier platform at the global level. Let us take this conversation around the continent and then become a back to ADWA 00 to regroup, strategize, and advance the fight until we overcome. We ask the African Union to institutionalize this platform with the arrangement that enable us to achieve impactful results in the next 4 years that were achieved in the past decades. We believe this day will be remembered in our history as a day we pledge to fight until we win. We shall not liberating ourselves only, but the rest of the world. I thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ato Mulalim Siyum, founder and CEO of AE Group, for highlighting the critical intersection between digital trade ecosystems and sustainable job creation, a frontier we must boldly lead. Thank you again, and please congratulate him as a co-convener of the 3rd Africa Job Creation Forum. Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Her Excellency Minister Muferiat Kamil to introduce His Excellency the AUC Chairperson for his statement, and then to invite His Excellency the Guest of Honor to officially declare the forum open.
Heartfelt greetings to all of you. on this significant occasion, the 5th Africa Integration Day, a moment of reflection, resolve, and renewed commitment to our shared destiny. Today, we are gathered here to attend the 3rd Job Creation Forum. It is indeed a momentous opportunity to remind us all that Africa's freedom, prosperity, and dignity are only possible through unity. I wish to recognize the leadership of His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the African Union champion for Africa integration. Please, a round of applause for him. His decades of dedication to Pan-Africanism, peace building, and regional cooperation have anchored important milestones in our continental journey. I also would like to praise His Excellency Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, for his leadership to transform Ethiopia into emerging economy. Please, a round of applause for him. Advancing job creation and economic resilience through integration remain a development imperative. Employment remains in the informal sector. Meanwhile, Africa contributes less than 3% to global value chains, in contrast to 26% for Latin America and the Caribbean. The time for incremental action has passed. We must act at scale. Let us be clear, agriculture remains Africa's largest employer, supporting over 60% of livelihoods. As a flagship program, we do have the African Continental Free Trade Area, but instruments alone are not enough. We need implementation. In the meantime, the private sector, large and small businesses are urged to get ready to start trading in order to benefit from the preferences that are included in the agreement. I'm also encouraged that there are new models of work emerging, harnessing technology, youth-driven innovations to address the challenges businesses face when they transition to digital trade. We need sustained efforts and impact investments to ensure that such noble initiatives grow from strength to strength and realize the ultimate goal of eradicating poverty on our continent. Across Africa, we are seeing a new generation rise with digital skills, entrepreneurial energy, and bold ideas. Every young person can find a pathway to meaningful work. Every woman can access affordable capital and contribute to value creation. Every entrepreneur can trade goods and services across borders without fear or friction. And every African can believe that they are part of a shared destiny. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I could not pass without referring to the transformation that we see in Ethiopia today. You have visited all Addis Ababa. It is becoming an amazing capital city. I have been in several European capitals last week. Addis Ababa is much more beautiful than any of them. More than 56 cities are also undergoing transformation. This is the true materialization of leadership. Prime Minister Abiy is doing really a great job in this country. When it comes to agriculture, Ethiopia has gone beyond the teff production. Today, Ethiopia is producing wheat, maize, and it's exporting even all these crops. We are really amazed about this transformation. This morning, with His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister, we have visited the exhibition of Ethiopian products. The quality of those products are really amazing. Ethiopia is really undergoing a huge transformation. Once again, congratulations to His Excellency Prime Minister Abiy, congratulations to the government of Ethiopia, and congratulations to the people of Ethiopia. I thank you.
to the guest of honor as he leaves for another urgent meeting. So would you please give him a big round of applause as we see him leave the hall. We also bid farewell to His Excellency the AUC Chairperson, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. Thank you very much, both of you, for gracing our event with your presence. Have a wonderful day, both gentlemen. Thank you. And to give you, before we transit to the next session, I would like to give you another 5 minutes of stir and goosebumps with ETO Circus. A just 5-minute break and transition before we proceed to our next section, which will be a panel discussion, a very, very important panel discussion just coming up. Remember, in the speech of His Excellency, the guest of honor, Africa Job Summit is loading. We are aspiring to establish Africa's Job Summit here in Ethiopia. So congratulations to organizers and co-organizers. Thank you. ETO Circus will now take a 5-minute stage for the wonderful piece. Meanwhile, we're setting the stage for the next panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Our panel discussion coming up will be on catalyzing digital and financial inclusion in agriculture value chains. It's a very, very important thematic topic you should be all looking forward to. After 5 minutes, we'll launch the panel discussion. Please don't go away.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving.
That's what I'm talking about.
Towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I got a made up mind, and I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, do you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. Feeling in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving
Wow.
towards that separation.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ethio Circus with a wonderful and incredible set known as Rise Up, highlighting Africa's struggle in reclaiming its sovereignty, dignity and identity as a unified people of Africa. What a vibrant and stirring opening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much. So without further ado, we'll now proceed to our first panel of the day. The Third Africa Jobs Creation Forum, by the way, aims to mobilize public and private sector stakeholders, regional institutions and development partners to accelerate job creation through regional integration and transformation of agricultural value chains. Anchored within the African Continental Free Trade Area, the forum will explore how digital and financial inclusion, along with inclusive agro-industrialization and innovation, can strengthen Africa's economic resilience and deliver decent employment opportunities, particularly for youth, women, and rural populations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll directly proceed to the panel discussion. If my colleagues are ready to set up the stage, bring up the chairs and the tables for the panels to be ready. So that was the transition from the official high-level opening ceremony and also the commemoration of the 5th Africa Integration Day. Once again, thank you all and congratulations to the organizers. We now proceed to the panel discussion, the first panel of the day, on the topic of catalyzing digital and financial inclusion in agricultural value chains. The moderator of this session is Mr. Chiluba Mwape, Senior Advisor SPS of the African Union Commission, who I now have the honor to invite to the stage to introduce the theme, the topic, and his panels, and have the next probably about 30 to 45 minutes for the session. As we are under a lot of time pressure, we would like to recommend in advance to our esteemed moderators to really be sensitive of the time. So may I now have Mr. Chiluba Mwape, Senior Advisor SPS of the African Union Commission, to take the stage and lead in the next panel discussion on catalyzing digital and financial inclusion in agricultural value chains. Thank you very much. Give him a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to motivate him to take us through the next 30 minutes. Honorable Mr. Mwape, would you please start by telling us a bit more about yourself? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to track your profile or bio, so would you help me do that before you introduce the panel? Thank you so very much.
Distinguished delegates, excellencies, esteemed panelists, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all in your time zone. Thank you for joining us this morning here at the Adwa Victory Memorial Park in the land of origin. My name is Chiluba Mwape. I'm a senior advisor, sanitary and phytosanitary measures. Prior to joining the African Union Commission, I was a sanitary and phytosanitary program officer at the SADC Secretariat. And I worked also for the government of the Republic of Zambia for more than 15 years. Working as an SPS expert, I've got more than 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor and a responsibility to moderate this high-level conversation on one of the most urgent and promising frontiers of our time, driving inclusive investment in Africa's agri-food systems. And the theme is catalyzing digital and financial inclusion in agricultural value chains. As you are aware, agriculture is not just the backbone of our economies in the African Union. It is the heartbeat of our communities. Yet, for millions of smallholder farmers and agri-entrepreneurs, particularly women and youths, the potential of agriculture remains locked behind barriers of finance, technology, and infrastructure. Today's dialogue comes at a pivotal moment. As you are aware, in the recent past, or the recently endorsed Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, Kampala Declaration, the African Union heads of states and governments committed under commitment number 2 to mobilize a total of $100 billion in public and private sector investment in African agri-food systems by 2035, while ensuring that at least 10% of annual public expenditure is allocated to agri-food systems, and that at least 15% of the agri-food GDP is invested annually into the sector. As part of the African Job Creation Forum and the Africa Strategic Investment Alliance, this session seeks to align policy, capital, and digital innovation around one shared objective: to unlock sustainable investment and financing in agri-food systems. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, we are here today to explore how digital finance tools, inclusive platforms, and multi-stakeholder partnerships can dismantle the persistent structural challenges in financing Africa's food systems, ensuring no farmer, trader, or agri-MSME is left behind. We are here to translate strategy into impact and vision into scalable action. Before we dive deep into this discussion, let's meet our highly distinguished panelists. May I call Her Excellency Dr. Sophia Kassa, State Minister, Minister of Agriculture, Ethiopia. May I call Ms. Maureen Sumbwa, Chairperson, COMESA, Federation of Women in Business. Yeah, you can see. And may I call Mr. Nicholas Mudungwe, Executive Director, African Leather and Leather Products Institute of COMESA.
With the kind permission of Honorable Moderator, I would like to organize the keynote address. I've asked the logistics personnel to put the podium back at the center, for which I'll have an honor to call on His Excellency Moses Vilakati, AU Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Development, to give us a keynote address, setting the scene for this panel. So thank you so very much. Your Excellency, Mr. Moses Vilakati will now take the floor to give us a keynote address. Yes, give him a warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, esteemed partners, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and privilege to address you today at this pivotal panel on catalyzing digital financial inclusion in agricultural value chains, convened under the banner of Africa Integration Day 2025 and the Third Africa Jobs Creation Forum. We gather here in Addis Ababa with a renewed sense of purpose to advance resilient, inclusive, and sustainable agri-food systems that unlock the full potential of our people and our continent. Our deliberations today are anchored in the transformative vision of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, which places modern agriculture, inclusive economic growth, and decent job creation at the center of Africa's structural transformation. The second Continental Progress Report commends our state progress, but equally reminds us of the distance yet to travel. Excellencies, agriculture remains the backbone of livelihoods for most of our citizens. Yet this vital sector's full potential is constrained by fragmented value chains, limited access to affordable finance, and persistent digital divides. We must therefore act decisively to harness digital innovations and inclusive financial solutions as drivers of value chain transformation and rural prosperity. As reaffirmed in the Kampala CAADP Declaration and the CAADP Strategy and Action Plan 2026 to 2035, our ambition is very clear. Intensify sustainable food production, drive agro-industrialization, and expand intra-African trade. But this vision will only become a reality when smallholder farmers, women, youth, and rural entrepreneurs can participate fully in digitally connected, financially inclusive markets. Distinguished participants, permit me to emphasize three interconnected priorities illustrated by promising examples from across our continent. One, we must close Africa's digital divide. Mobile technologies, digital platforms, and data-driven innovations can connect farmers to markets, deliver timely climate and price information, and drive precision agriculture. Yet their benefits remain unevenly distributed. We are inspired by Kenya's M-Farm, which equip farmers with up-to-date market price information and collective bargaining power via mobile phones, empowering them to negotiate fair prices and reduce exploitation. In Nigeria, the e-wallet scheme has reached millions of farmers with electronic vouchers for inputs, strengthening transparency and input access. In another example, in Ethiopia, the Agricultural Transformation Agency, ATA, has pioneered a digital strategy that deploys mobile-based farmer hotlines, satellite-supported data services, and digital soil mapping to reach millions of farmers with tailored advice, demonstrating how coordinated national digital strategies can modernize agriculture at scale. Meanwhile, Senegal is emerging as a leader in agri-tech pilots. Through initiatives like Agri-Tech Senegal, farmers access real-time weather forecasts, precision irrigation services, and mobile payment tools, linking smallholder farmers to formal value chains, mitigating climate risk, and boosting productivity. These success stories remind us that robust rural digital infrastructure and affordable internet, community-centered digital literacy must be scaled up urgently if we are to close the rural digital divide and leave no farmer behind. Two, we must expand access to inclusive financial services across agricultural value chains. Millions of smallholder farmers and micro, small and medium enterprises remain excluded from the formal financial system. Proven models such as mobile money, microinsurance, and value chain finance must be strengthened and scaled. The transformative impact of M-Pesa in Kenya is well known in bringing mobile banking to remote rural communities and enabling secure transactions for millions. In Ghana, the Cocoa Farmers Cooperative Credit Union uses digital platforms to offer tailored credit and savings products to smallholder cocoa producers, supporting their resilience and bargaining power. Uganda's use of digital microinsurance to cover smallholders against crop failure and climate shocks is another notable model, with platforms like Nsibugo providing farmers with secure, low-cost access to savings and insurance products via mobile technology. All of these models show that when financial products are affordable, accessible, and adapted to rural realities, they can unlock productivity, reduce vulnerability, and build rural prosperity. We must strengthen the partnerships that enable digital and financial ecosystems to thrive. Governments, regional economic communities, the private sector actors, and development partners all have indispensable roles. The Africa Common Position on Food Systems emphasizes that resilient food systems demand coordinated investments in technology, capacity building, and supportive policy and regulatory frameworks. Rwanda's smart Kunganira system, for instance, uses digital platform to manage and distribute fertilizer and seed subsidies more efficiently, transparently linking farmers, suppliers, and the government. This model has improved accountability, boosted farmer trust, and demonstrated the power of public-private collaboration in digital innovation. We must also not lose sight of the pivotal role of technical and vocational education and training in preparing our youth for success in digitally enabled agri-food systems. Initiatives such as the Enable Youth program of the African Development Bank equip young agripreneurs with digital, entrepreneurial, and business development skills, helping to build the next generation of agricultural innovators and job creators. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Africa's journey towards resilient, prosperous agri-food systems depends on how boldly we confront structural challenges of exclusion and underinvestment, and how effectively we leverage regional integration instruments like the African Continental Free Trade Area, the Free Movement Protocol, and our shared vision for economic self-reliance. The Ouagadougou Declaration reminds us that job creation and poverty eradication must remain explicit priorities of our deployment agendas. Digital and financial inclusions are not standalone goals. They are pathways to dignity, decent work, and shared prosperity. Let us leave this forum with a renewed determination to translate our commitments into bold action. Let us build smart partnerships, mobilize investments, and bring our policy frameworks to life in ways that deliver real, measurable benefits for farmers, the youth, and communities. Together, let us build the Africa we want, an Africa where digital tools, inclusive finance, and homegrown innovation power resilient agri-food systems, decent jobs, and sustainable livelihoods for all. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellence, for setting up the stage for this discussion. Based on the keynote address by His Excellency Commissioner Vilakati, ladies and gentlemen, could you please briefly tell us how digital finance solutions can be effectively integrated into rural agriculture value chains to ensure last mile inclusion for smallholder farmers, especially women and youths, while balancing scalability and sustainability? Over to you, Your Excellency.
Good morning and welcome to Addis. Thank you, Excellency. Today I'm here to be a voice for millions of smallholder farmers and pastoralists in Ethiopia. I'm a farmer, I'm not an economist, but I can say a few words about the importance of financial inclusion and digital finance system for African farmers. To say a few words about the contribution of the agriculture sector in Ethiopia, it's contributing about 32% for our GDP, and also around 65% of the employment is again coming from the agriculture sector, and it's also contributing around 7-8% for our export earning. But only 8% of the finance is going to the agriculture sector, except for the budget for fertilizer procurement. That means we are talking about food sovereignty, and we are talking about the Ethiopian and the African agricultural transformation. Unless we support through financial inclusion and clear access to finance, we can't achieve the big milestone in Africa. In recent time, the Ministry of Agriculture in Ethiopia, we have developed and endorsed the digital agricultural roadmap 2032, which has been mentioned in the keynote speak before me. It is a comprehensive framework to integrate digital finance solution with Ethiopia's rural agricultural value chains, and it aims to digitalize key elements of our agricultural value chains. We are developing to digitize the fertilizer procurement and the distribution because it has a direct linkage with access to finance. And also one of the priority key elements of the digital roadmap is to digitize the financial service, including credit and insurance, and also market access. In Ethiopia, most of the farmers and the pastoralists, they are living far from the cities, so they don't have information access for market. And recently with Ethio Telecom and ATI, the Ministry of Agriculture, we are developing the digital market information system. I'm sure this will help and support the smallholder farmers living in the rural areas in Ethiopia. And also, we are personalized advisory service while promoting smart farming technologies to enhance productivity and resilience for farmers and pastoralists in Ethiopia. In addition to that, we have started to register the smallholder farmers. We are going to link it with a digital ID, which we call it FIDA. And also, we are working on the key enablers for effective integration of this digital finance service to rural agricultural value chains, including the digital QX, which will be piloted in the near future. This will give access for the smallholder farmers and the pastoralists key information and access to finance through the digital system. And also, we wanted to link it with farmers' profiled with the unique ID, for the smallholder farmers. And also, we are working to on the digital literacy. This is how the Ethiopian agriculture, we are working on the digital system, but still, we are asking, we are becoming a voice of our farmers and pastoralists to get a clear access to finance. In recent time, the National Bank of Ethiopia, they have endorsed new regulation which give an access for credit for the smallholder farmers and for the pastoralists. The pilot is not bad, but still we are working to maximize the access to finance and digitizing this credit to be addressed by millions of our farmers. Maybe I'll be back if there is any questions from the audience.
Yes, thank you so much, Excellence. Mrs. Sumwe, briefly, what could be your take on the same question?
Thank you very much, moderator. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And can I just say that it's an honor to be invited to share a platform with distinguished speakers on such an important topic. Digital and financial inclusion are matters that are truly very, very close to the heart of the COMESA Federation of Women in Business, considering that our constituency is women entrepreneurs, the majority of whom are actually working in the agriculture sector. And I think this morning we are speaking really about how can we reduce the digital divide and give access to these our constituents to be part of this digital transformation and the financial inclusion agenda. I think from where we sit as COMFWIB, we look at 3 or 4 very, very important things I think that need to be addressed. I think the first thing that needs to be addressed, and Her Excellency alluded to it in her remarks just now, is the issue of capacity. We are looking at the majority of people in the rural areas, and we want to try and assess what is their actual capacity to be able to use these digital tools that we seem to take for granted. If we take even a small child that is living in the urban area and bring them to at the same stage with a rural adult, you'll find that this child is probably much more advanced in terms of capacity to use these digital tools. So I think one of the things that needs to be done is to look at capacity building programs that are needs-based and not really designed in air-conditioned rooms like the ones we are sitting in right now. We need to go back to the people and actually assess what are their capacity needs. The digital divide can only be addressed if the people that we are targeting are indeed literate, as you have alluded to, Minister. I think the second issue that we also need to be looking at is the issue of connectivity. It's well and good for us to talk about digitization when we have access to connectivity. I think the majority of rural people that we are trying to bring to this table are sitting in places where infrastructure is really not allowing them to be connected effectively enough. That means that there's a very serious information gap. They do not receive the information in a timely manner that would best serve them. So connectivity and infrastructure that is targeted at bringing these services closer to the people that we want to address, I think is one of the key things. Connectivity also, in this instance, I think we would want to be looking at establishing digital ecosystems that will integrate these small-scale farmers into places. Digital ecosystems that are not just going to them with a concept of digitization, but also saying what would be the outcome, the intended outcome of this digitization. Is it going to help me improve access to my markets, for example, which is where we bring in issues like the Sokuku that was already alluded to this morning, a digital marketplace where people are able to sell their products. Because are we looking at digitization just so that we can connect with each other and say hello in the morning? So I think it needs to be a more holistic approach, this connectivity issue. The third issue, I think, is also the cost of digitization. How much is it going to cost for these rural-based small-scale entrepreneurs to be able to afford this technology and the connectivity costs? So I think we need to be very strategic and very intentional in how we make it affordable for this particular target group. Added to that, I think when we're talking about digital inclusion and we talk about financial inclusion, we're also talking about cyber security. How safe is it? How are you going to make it attractive enough for me to risk putting my money into this space that I'm not really seeing, that I've not really understood? So these are some of the issues I think that would need to be implemented. As I just wind up, I wanted also just to talk about the notion that has been brought up this morning, the issue of public-private partnerships and dialogue between the public and the private sector. And just to say, on behalf of the small-scale woman entrepreneur out there, the farmer that we're trying to address, is that we seem to want to speak on their behalf. I think it's really important to bring them to the table so that even when we're designing these programs, we are speaking to issues that they face and that they have told us they need to be addressed. We could be sitting here and saying that we need to do this, and that's not really what they need. So I'll end here for now. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Msumbwe. Mr. Mdugwe, Mrs. Msumbwe has covered issues to do with capacity, connectivity, and the cost of installation, as well as cyber security issues. What could be your views on the same question?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Dena Deracho. When I'm in Ethiopia, I always want to speak in Amharic. And when I'm in Nairobi, I speak in Swahili. Because it is easier to elaborate issues in the mother tongue than in English. But because the composition is mixed here, I'm forced to speak in English. Otherwise, I was going to speak in Amharic.
I give it a try.
Better basegenado. My contribution are not going to be very specific to the question, but are going to ride on the issues raised by our principles. They said, Africa, we are very far behind, and we need to move very fast, and very fast in a big way. And I also want to draw inspiration from a statement that was made by Mzee Mwalimu when he said, when others are walking, Africans should be running. And he said this more than 40 years ago. And I think now it's not about running. We should sprint because we are far behind. If we look at Africa, we have 60% of the global landmass, but our GDP is just $4 trillion. That's not big, that's too small. Our claim to the total wealth of the world should be 60% of 140 trillion, which is the global GDP. So you can see the gap that we have. Let me draw comparisons. One of the biggest companies globally, NVIDIA, its market value is 3.8 trillion, and it sits on less than 1 hectare. But Africa, we are 4 trillion, sitting on a landmass which is 60% of the global total. So you can see as Africa, we have the resources, but we have not converted the resources into value. And for us to be able to do that, we need the finance. Mr. Moderator said the cost of setting up the infrastructure. The question is, who should do that? Who should finance the infrastructure? And as Africans, we have been taught that government has no business in business. But when you look at economic history, all successful countries, they've succeeded at the back of government investment. If we look at Africa's GDP in the 70s, it was almost at par with China. But today, China is almost 16 to 18 trillion dollars. Africa, we are still at 4 trillion. And China as a government has invested. So in my view, governments in Africa should take a bold step to invest in financial inclusion, in digitization. This is the only way Africa would move forward. Let me give you an analogy. If you are a head of a family, you are the father, and you are crossing a flooded river, who goes in front? It is you, the father, who goes in front. So in this particular case, governments are our fathers in Africa. And I'm excited because the excellencies who spoke before us emphasized that it's not a small project, it's a big project. But the question is, are we doing enough? I think certain bold steps are being taken in Africa. We had an example of Ethiopia producing wheat. Uganda, they are doing well in coffee. In Ghana, they are doing well with respect to cacao for chocolates through the cocoa board. But I think the message is, as Africa, we need to take a bold step to invest in digitization. What is the business case of digitization? The business case is, at the moment, most people cannot access credit from financial institutions because they don't have collateral. But by having digital, if they are present digitally, we are able to know their transactions. And their transactions can then be used as security for them to access credit. Because once they are trading digitally, we know Farmer X traded 20 bags of coffee in 2020, then 15 in another year, then another number, then another number. So banks will be able now to compute the risk and to allocate resources to those who are successful. To conclude, in Africa, in countries where enterprises are supported, at most of the times we have supported those that are struggling. And once you support an enterprise which are struggling, you will make everybody to declare insolvency so that they get access to money. Never sponsor a failure. Sponsor the successful companies. Assuming Ethiopia and Kenya, who are good at marathon, they were always taking number last to global competitions. Were they going to win? No. So let us not support failures, because it is very easy to fail than to pass. If, for example, if I say in this room, any person who cannot spell his name, we are going to give you $1 million, everybody will get $1 million, isn't it? It is easier to fail than to succeed. So as Africa, we need to pick winners and support winners. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mundugwe. Indeed, when others are walking, Africa should be running so that we achieve the Africa we want. Based on those submissions, I would like to draw your attention to the second question, which goes like this. In what ways can multi-sector partnerships across governments, fintech, innovators, and agribusiness accelerate investment in digital ecosystems like Sokuku to unlock access to finance, markets, and services for micro, small, and medium enterprises in agriculture? Your Excellency.
Thank you again, moderator. As we are speaking about enhanced productivity, access to finance, digitization, market, and so on, it needs the stakeholder partnership. It's not an option, actually, especially for Africa and countries like Ethiopia. It is a must, because our farmers, they are asking about technology, access to technology, like agricultural mechanization technologies. So to deliver this agricultural mechanization technology, this is one of an example for agricultural technologies. We need to have access to finance. So the financer has to support the agriculture. And also when you talk about the technologies in the finance, the infrastructure, again, it comes to into the question. That means everyone has to partnership to improve the access to finance and the digital finance system. If we cooperate and collaborate, we can accelerate ecosystem investment by combining the complementary capabilities and aligning incentives and building shared digital infrastructure and governance. This collaborative model can enable the digital platform like the Sokoko. Actually, I heard today this word, and I will try to understand what Sokoko is working. I'm sure it's working on the financial sector. And also for market access and service at scale for SMEs in agriculture, ultimately boosting productivity, resilience, and livelihood in Ethiopian rural community. Actually, it's not only for Ethiopian rural community, but also for African rural community. But for this, from the government side, there has to be political willingness and policy incentives, and there has to be clear policy direction and structure to facilitate the stakeholder partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Mrs. Humbwe, what could be your views?
Thank you. I think I'll ride on the keywords that Her Excellency has mentioned, collaboration and commitment. I think one entity will not be able to actualize this very big agenda. So it's calling for broad-based partnerships. And I think a very good example is this third job creation forum that we're in today, which is a collaboration between government, between the African Union Commission with AE Trade, which is a private sector entity, civil society organization, business entrepreneur associations. I think everybody has a stake in this, and when we put our act together, I think we'll then be able to unlock this rigid structure that we're facing. But I also think that we need to act more and speak less. I think we spend a lot of time in these forums, and then the noise dies down, and then we'll meet again in a year from now, and we'll think of a new theme, and we'll move on without really evaluating what has transpired since the last time that we met. So I'm talking here about timely follow-up on commitments that are made in fora such as these. What have the governments committed to? What has the private sector committed to? What has the African Union committed to? What are those pronouncements that we like to talk about and sing about, and then come back after 12 months and talk about new ones without actually having acted on whatever it was we had agreed on. I also think that it's really, really important that the issue of digital and financial inclusion moves from being just a tick in the box. And I think this is something that we are all very guilty of, that we'll invite a few women to the table and we say they were included, just so that we can tick a box because it was a requirement. I think we need to get these beneficiaries, the intended beneficiaries, fully engaged and fully participating in whatever it is that we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Humbwe. Mr. Mudugwe, we have heard about the importance of collaboration, commitment, complementarity, and accountability. Do you have a different view on the question?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This one is a bit complicated. If you could allow me to speak in my mother tongue, Shona, maybe I'll make it more clearer.
Aiwa Shamwari.
So in Zimbabwe, we say chara chimwe achitswanyi inda, meaning you cannot kill a fly with one hand like this. You need two, then you can kill. So this is the significance of collaboration. Because when we look at financial inclusion and the issue of digital presence, it's a means to an end. So collaboration between Sokuku and any other platform should be associated with production. Because if we focus on digitization only, I can tell you Africans we are very good with the Facebook, but are we producing anything out of Facebook? No. But Sokuku as a platform, if it collaborates with women farmers, collaborates with women in business, collaborates with us who are in the leather value chain, we build capacity of enterprises to produce. But after producing, they need to trade, but they also need access to finance. So in partnership, we can gain more. They say in partnership, 1 + 1 is not equals to 2. 1 + 1 is greater than 2. I submit. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mudugwe, for buttressing the importance of collaboration. With these 2 rounds of questions, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, we would like to open the floor for questions. We start with this block. We get 2 and 2 from this block and 2 from this block. Pass. So when you ask the question, please tell us who you are targeting for that question.
I am targeting Miss Sumbwe, Madam Sumbwe. My question is really on costly nature of financial services, and you recommended that we need to make it affordable. That challenge still remains in Ethiopia as well. So what do you recommend from your side? How can we make it affordable? It is easy to say that, it's to say it than done. So I want your reaction on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, moderator. My name is Tarafa. My question goes to the gentleman, the one who speak of. Yes, it is true. Africa far behind about accessing of finance and digital issue. If you think like the value chain, what do you think about the productivity of the farmers? If you are talking about like agriculture, because still, we also productivity far behind the average expected productivity. So how we can, I mean, to see this financial and digital speed up or accelerate without like considering the existing productivity we have at a country or at a continent? Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the panelists. My name is Dariun Adeno. My question goes to the Ethiopian representative. In today's reality in Ethiopia, the telecom service is expanding to even to the rural areas of Ethiopia. This is one of the fertile ground for Ethiopian agricultural system. Even now farmers, they don't want to go to market to decide their price. Thanks to the telecom service, they can have all market information at their home. You know, but there is a problem. There should be a kind of central system which help farmers to get genuine information about the market price, because it's now becoming a cause for inflation because of lack of real information about the digital marketing and the financial trade. Sometimes it creates a conflict between the producer, the middle one, the broker, and the consumer. So I appreciate the expansion of the telecom service, which goes with this object of this forum, but who should be manage it and bring or share the real genuine information to farmers to create genuine market system in Ethiopia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that question. Now we can get the responses, starting with Mrs. Sumbwe, followed by Mr. Mudugwe and Her Excellency.
Thank you, moderator, and thank you for that question. If I understood the question very well, you're asking about what recommendation would I have to help bring down the cost of financial services? Was that the question? Absolutely, thank you. I think to understand the cost of financial services, I think it's to understand why do the financial institutions make these services to be so costly. And it's even more costly, I think, for what they consider high-risk clients, like women and small-scale farmers and things like that. So one of the ways that we are trying to go around that is to promote cooperatives among the farmers so that they are able to spread the risk among themselves and hopefully lower the cost of the finance. We're also pushing for more mobile financial services as opposed to sticking with the traditional commercial financial institutions, and also helping to look at creating a kind of credit score for the clients, so that the higher their credit score, the better they can be considered for a lowered cost of financial services. So I hope that answers your question, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Mudungwe.
Thank you. I agree with you. The issue of productivity is a major challenge that we have in Africa. For example, on cotton production, India and other countries, they produce over 2,000 kgs per hectare. In Africa, we are around 300 to 700. And what is causing that productivity gap? There are several issues. One is skills, second one is fertilizers, third one is also the use of clean seeds. And some of these countries, they've gone on to GMO. I will not talk about that because I'm not an expert in that area. But those factors are constraining our productivity. So governments in Africa, they have to make a bold step to ensure accessibility to fertilizer. And I read recently that Dangote has declared that in the next 40 months, Africa will have fertilizer surplus. And I have confidence in that gentleman. He said the same for petroleum. And we now see the price of petroleum products in Nigeria declining. So that is possible through that kind of investment. I also want to contribute to the question to Madam, the President of CONFEB, to say how can we reduce the cost of finance? My view is we have a lot, the answers are there in economic history. In economic history, financial gaps were solved by government. even up to now, as we are sitting in this room, big countries are putting money on artificial intelligence. Governments are putting money. I'll share with you a model which is used in Egypt to improve and lower the cost of finance. The market interest could be 26%, but when you look at enterprises, maybe they afford 5%. So they give an opportunity to enterprises to apply for finance from commercial banks. Then the commercial banks, they will select that out of these 10,000, I think these 5,000 have bankable project ideas. And our interest rate is 26%. So the government will then come in and pay the 21%, reducing the cost of finance. I've heard also in Eswatini, they've established a similar fund to support agriculture. So in a nutshell, cheaper finance will not come from anywhere. It must come from us Africans, from African governments. We need to make a decision. Without that decision, we'll continue to have big policies, big conferences, and no execution. Like I spoke about artificial intelligence, US has put over 500 billion United States dollars to support that. So us as Africa, we need to put that down. I was thinking about yesterday to say, what is our problem? Then I realized that maybe we don't have money as Africans. What we call money, maybe is not money. Because as Africans, we cannot trade using our own currencies. So it is critical that as Africans, we should make a decision to say, if I'm exporting to Kenya, we pay them in shillings. If they're exporting to Ethiopia, we pay them in birr. Once we make that decision, then Africa will have money. Then we'll be able to solve this problem. I submit.
Thank you, Mr. Mundugwe. Her Excellency was holding the mic and the mic was getting hot. Your Excellency, you have the mic.
Thank you again, moderator. I think I agree with you. It's not a direct question, but I can give information what we are working now as a Minister of Agriculture. If you remember, in my first question, I have been mentioning about the digital roadmap we did this year, and also the activities we are doing on the digital finance system. But as he said, our farmers, they have to get genuine market information system. That's why we are working on the digital market information system. I'm sure in the near future it will be launched and our farmers will get genuine market information system. Actually, it's not only for the smallholder farmers or the producers, even for our nations living in the cities, they have to get a genuine market information system. So this is what we're working these days. Not only for the market system, we are planning to digitize the big fertilizer distribution and procurement system in Ethiopia. This will also be piloted after a month, inshallah, if we are working day and night to digitize the input tracking system. So what I can say is I have accepted the comment and we will work on it more. If you give me 1 minute, I wanted to compliment on those two questions. For the special credit line for the agriculture and the for the SMEs, I know my colleague from the National Bank of Ethiopia, I know what you are working these days, but we are asking, we need to have a special credit line for the smallholder farmers and the pastoral communities. I know the commercial banks in Ethiopia, they ask collateral and they ask some financial audit, which doesn't work for our farmers and pastoral communities. So I can say we need a special credit system or a special line if we want to increase the productivity and the Ethiopian agricultural transformation. In terms of productivity, we are not far behind for all commodities. For example, the productivity of maize in Ethiopia, the average productivity is around 40 quintal per hectare. But if we take the maximum productivity, it's more than 100 quintal per hectare. Even for wheat, the productivity is not bad, and we are not bad for every commodities. Don't take it like that, because everyone, when we speak about productivity, we can say the African agricultural productivity is far behind from the developed countries and the middle income countries, but this is not true. I agree for some of the commodities we have to work, but we are trying to improve our production and productivity. Otherwise, we can't feed the population in Ethiopia and in Africa. Actually, Ethiopia is not only feeding Ethiopia. Our farmers and our pastoral communities, we are also feeding our neighboring countries as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, we may not take the second round of questions. However, you are highly encouraged to engage with the panelists bilaterally. With that, allow me to conclude by saying that Africa's farmers are ready. Our entrepreneurs are innovating. The question is, our system bold and inclusive enough to match their ambition? Let us seize this moment. Let us transform African agriculture through technology, partnerships, and shared commitment into a powerhouse for jobs, food security, and economic dignity. With that, please, a big hand of applause for the esteemed panelists.
And another round of applause for Mr. Chiluba Mwape, moderator of the session, for being very time sensitive and also, of course, raising very crucial questions. Thank you so very much. Congratulations, everyone on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, before too late, we'll soon go out for lunch. But before that, I would like to call to the stage a speaker on behalf of the Secretary General. So we'll have Dr. Tsotsesi Makong, representative of His Excellency Mr. Wamkele Menes, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, to give a keynote address on his behalf. Would you please give him a warm welcome? And with his speech, we'll wrap up the morning before we break for lunch. But don't forget, we'll have another very important panel pushed to the afternoon. When we come back, we'll delve into that. The floor is yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator, and good morning to everybody. Their Excellencies here present. I have the singular pleasure of course, riding on the protocols that have been conferred. Again, Your Excellency, Honorable Minister, a pleasure for us to be here. Again, the whole idea of me being here is to make these remarks on behalf of His Excellency Wamkele Mene, the Secretary General of the AfCFTA Secretariat. And I will read them through word for word. I'm taking this opportunity to thank fellow co-organizers, namely the government of Ethiopia, the African Union Commission, and the AE Trade Group for the invitation to the AfCFTA Secretariat to make these remarks at this very auspicious occasion. Today we do mark the 5th Africa Integration Day, and at the same time we observe the official opening of the 3rd Africa Job Creation Forum Integration Day. Allow me to further make these remarks on these two important occasions, which are interconnected occasions and extremely important for the citizens of our continent. As you well know, the African Union carries a collective responsibility to improve the lives of our citizens, the task that is urgent in its ambition. Talking about our continent, we are the youngest continent with a median age of 19.8 years, with 65% of the population in the continent under the age 25. Moreover, a third of all youths are expected to live in Africa by 2050, and that means all global youths are expected to live in the continent by 2050. It is in that spirit that I wish to reflect briefly on the AFCFTA, the flagship initiative that I have been entrusted to lead, which is central to our efforts to deepen economic integration. Not only is it about boosting economic integration, it is also about creating jobs across the continent. In discharge of the mandate that has been entrusted to the AFCFTA Secretariat, the African Union, through the AFCFTA, serves to improve, of course, the life of our citizens across the continent. And of course, with this responsibility, I wish to comment on the mandate that belies the African Economic Integration Agenda. Today, we can confidently speak of a single African market as a key major achievement. We have successfully concluded negotiations under the phase 1 and phase 2 of the AFCFTA negotiations. Of course, this amounting to a feat to unlock jobs across the continent, again creating the opportunities for young people, women, and youth. Now, this draws us close to creating 16 million jobs that have been attributed to the implementation of the AFCFTA. And again, I repeat, the implementation of the AFCFTA in the manufacturing sector will create around 16 million jobs. And again, this is very conservative, thinking about implementing the full scope of the agreement. That could be much higher than that, again, if we gather our efforts together. So far, we have 54 African countries that have signed on to the AFCFTA agreement, and 49 have ratified the same. We have already witnessed our members take advantage of the AFCFTA under what had been dubbed the Guided Trade Initiative, which was an initiative seeking to test whether the AFCFTA works. And so far, as we stand today, we have over 3,000 rules certificate of origin that had been issued. And again, this is a very conservative figure because there's a lot more that our members are doing in this space. Again, it shows that the AFCFTA does have a huge potential to create jobs. What does it mean? It means that from the farm all the way to the table of the consumer, if it is a food product, everybody who is involved in that transaction chain is actually a job more created. So again, it shows that we do have an opportunity to indeed revolutionize the continent by creating these jobs. These are the very early indications that the AFCFTA can be turned into a reality, and indeed it's an early indication that many more jobs can be created through the AFCFTA. We nevertheless still have a lot of work to do, and this work we need to do is to translate the agreement into real meaningful action. We indeed have to ensure that the agreement is turned into domestic regulations at home with a view to indeed unlocking the opportunities that this particular agreement holds. One of the things that are worth stating is that the SMEs and MMSMEs, they are the mainstay of our economies. Any given African country, we know that over 90% of the market players are the small and medium enterprises, and that says a lot about how we have to reach out to meeting their needs. And therefore, of course, we also have women and youth concentrated within this particular special group. We also do have other special underrepresented groups that we need to reach out to through the implementation of the AFCFTA. We will not do justice in this particular forum without mentioning the importance of decent jobs. Again, we believe that through the AFCFTA, we will create decent jobs in the continent. We do have a specific priority sectors that our members, the members of the African Union, have identified, and these include the agri-food sector, textile, automotive sector, and again, several other sectors that are of importance. And again, investing in these particular sectors will indeed take us far. Now, for us to go into the implementation of the AFCFTA, we must leverage and embrace technology, a notion that has been and that was raised this morning. And for this reason, our members again have agreed and have adopted the protocol on digital trade. What this means is everything that has been mentioned this morning concerning technology, the legal framework has been set, and it is now up to us to act and make sure that we implement that particular protocol. It covers many areas, from cross-border digital payments, cross-border data transfers, all the way to covering areas as important as digital identities. This particular project will not work until we can have businesses and natural persons move seamlessly across the continent, and this is what this particular protocol on digital trade covers. There are many other instruments within the African Union that are interworking with this particular AFCFTA agreement. Of course, we have to create this single air transport market. We need to make sure that we deliver on that. The free movement protocol, we need to make sure that we also deliver on that. And again, they are all part of one canvas together with the AFCFTA agreement. Our shared success will depend on collaboration. It will depend on commitment that we collectively push forward. And of course, this will translate into us seeing the fruits of our common purpose. Drawing to an end, let me say that more than ever, this forum its importance cannot be overstated, particularly in light of the ongoing global turmoils and challenges, both on the economic as well as on the security side. And again, we are seeing countries folding internally. We are seeing the weaponization of trade policy and economic policies. And of course, African countries have not been spared from this particular onslaught on the multilateral trading system. Again, last year alone, 2024, over 9,000 migrants lost their lives, and over 2,000 of those who lost their lives seeking opportunities ashore were from the continent of Africa. And I think this has to be a ringing call. We've been having this, it's more than 6 years now, probably more than, let's say 10 years or so, where we've been having this migrant crisis. And the question is, who is going to solve those particular challenges that are affecting our people? It is very clear today that nobody is going to save Africa, and therefore, Africa, you have to save yourself. And for that reason, the AFCFTA and several other instruments that we have in this continent are tools at our hands to make sure that we create these jobs, that there is no need for our young people, for our women to be perishing in the Mediterranean Sea simply because they are looking for opportunities elsewhere. These opportunities through the AFCFTA and many other legal instruments we have in the continent can be created right here at home, right here in the continent. I therefore wish to pledge the full support of the AFCFTA Secretariat to this forum, and we avail ourselves for the continued partnership. And lastly, I wish to thank the government of the federal government of Ethiopia for spearheading and leading this important event. And of course, at this very historic venue, I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Makong, for bringing us His Excellency, the Secretary General of the CFTA. This is a very, very important forum. We launched today in the presence of His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister, and AFCFTA is at the heart of this forum. Congratulations for the messages as well. And thank you for all insightful comments of your own, along with His Excellency the Secretary General's speeches. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a very, very powerful morning. If you agree with me, it was such a vibrant morning, wasn't it? Yeah? Yes. Starting with all musical performances and the circus, and then those powerful messages coming our way. The third Africa Job Creation Forum has been a very, very successful start so far. This, therefore, brings us to the end of our morning session. The rest of the day will continue with side events such as bilateral meetings and further technical discussions. I would like you all to thank all our speakers, our moderators, our panelists, also our performers on the stage. Would you give them one big round of applause before we finish off for lunch? So it's almost exactly 1 p.m. local time. We'll have only 1 hour for lunch. When we get back, we'll have the next panel, which is on African Strategic Investment Alliance, high-level dialogue. So that's a very, very important session that nobody would want to miss. So we'll wish you a very, very delightful lunch. Bon appetit. We'll see you again in exactly 1 hour. Mic opens at 2 p.m. local time. Have a good time, ladies and gentlemen.